match in a day, which is awesome. Means we can get started straight away, as we are going to be entering the TSL 9 replacement matches. So these matches are for the replacement of Neeb in the bracket. These are going to be taking place with the players who lost in the basically the same the round before Neeb. So the players who lost one round before go into the offline event. But one player special did not accept his invite, so he didn't want to play. That's fine. It means we've got Astray, HeroMarine, and Solar today in a round-robin group. So that's how this will work. Round-robin, best of fives as well. And we're going to kickstart in the bottom left corner with the TvZ. The purple Terran player is HeroMarine. Top right, our yellow Zerg player from TvZ Gaming is Solar. As we get this best of 5 underway. Begin this up and running. I'm just waiting to see what will be going down. So the way this works, it's round robin, and I think what's important to note is obviously if you win 2-0, boom, you're done. You know, if you win 2-0, that's it. You go to the Netherlands. So this is to move into the top 12 of the TSL. You will replace Neeb, who has to play against Classic. I feel like that's a very winnable match for any of the players that might come out of this matchup, or out of this group. So yeah, we'll see if anyone, or we'll see which of the three will do it. I'm not 100% sure what the tiebreaker rules are. If there's similar map score, that would be kind of crazy if it was 1-1 across the board and everyone had the same map score in all the matches. That would be kind of wild, but obviously that can happen. We'll figure that out a bit later on the line. But now, we enjoy this little bit of TvZ and wait to see just what will go down. Now, as we start off, we are on Waterfall, which is a pretty small map, and so HeroMarine already changing up a bit. And, you know, HeroMarine is not one I feel like to do builds like this per se in TvZ, but he's gonna 3-racks. So it works on this map. You can be very aggressive, you can move across very easily on this map as well. I kind of like this a lot, actually. I think this is a really cool way to get things started. So, yeah, and obviously it's one of these builds that you're not going to use in other maps as well. So if it doesn't work here, it's okay, you move on from it. Or if it does work, that's cool. You'll probably have a lot of other builds ready to go, right? You have a lot of other things planned out for this best of 5, right? So this map, this build, very specific to each other. And first of all, we've got some Marines coming across now. Double tech lab, so you can start to move into what will be the stim pack and combat shield upgrades. Moving on from here, and these Marines are going to hide from the hatchery as well, so still not revealing themselves for as long as possible, just holding out, holding out. I'm just going to be seeing them walking into a queen. They decide just to back it up. 2 queens there. Decides that that's not going to be something you can be successful with. Puts a little bit of pressure on, cleans any what could have been some map control out and about on the map, at least in some of the forward locations at least. And then says, cool, go back home, get the rest of my units, and just wait for those upgrades. That's when I'm going to really be feeling my power spike in this game. That's when I want to be able to push with as much as possible to try and fully take advantage of what I am doing in this game number 1. There's going to be seen a Mule or 2 dropping down. There's going to be seen an Engineering Bay at the front. An extra depot will drop in as well. Bailing Nest, Link Speed, all of that continuing through on the side of Solar, as that Link Speed will be obviously completing. The Bailing Nest is very nice against the 3-racks because you want to be able to force these Marines to split up. If you're not able to force the Marines to split up, well, you know what they're going to do. They're going to stand in a massive cluster, nuke down Lings, which can't get a good enough surround, and then Queens are going to get targeted afterwards. So, yeah, these Bailings are really important just to force the Marines to split up a bit, give the Lings a little bit of a better fight at the very least. That is something of a necessity, I would say, as we do see this group of Marines making their way all the way across the map. So committing through, and, well, so far Solar's just seen the move out initially with the Overlord on the pillar. Well, that's about it. 6 Balins are about to be done. And Solar playing pretty on point here so far. The stim pack a couple seconds away. And so far, HeroMarine looks as though he will not commit. Obviously worth mentioning as well, right, that because of the map score situation, it's actually going to be kind of important to win every game as well, right? So, you know, winning every single map, you know, winning 3-0 is super important versus winning, you know, 3-2. That could change things. It could change whether you're going to the Netherlands or not for the offline portion of TSL, the top 12. 3 queens just died, so in the end, HeroMarine actually finds himself a pretty good grab. These lings on the surround are a little bit late, but the Banes are going to get there. My goodness, the Baneling connections are massive all across that Marine army. Absolutely bonkers. Wow. The queen's going down initially. You could see what Solar was trying to do. He wanted to get that surround. He was setting up. He wasn't quite ready for it. The queens were a bit too far forward. But boy, did he get there in the end. And the cleanup is huge, and that does reset that bio count a pretty good amount. And that's going to give you a way better setup now in this game than what you would have had otherwise. Extra Banes is morphing the Baneling speed, the +1 carapace continuing through. And attack upgrade is going to be finishing from HeroMarine in a moment, as he does have on a 3rd CC. So there's not going to be some kind of like a 2-base all-in or anything, which is just good to have a confirmation of, I suppose, because there is a world where you just 2-base all-in on Waterfall sometimes, and then having lost those initial Marines would have been very bad for you, because then your 2-base all-in is very much so depowered. With the 3rd CC coming online, the extra barracks, it does now mean we're going to have a bit more of an eco-focus here eventually for HeroMarine. Yeah, he wanted to stay aggressive, as actually he's currently supply blocked, waiting for the CC to be done to get him out of supply block. And it's going to finally finish up, extra couple units started behind it. Let's just keep that tank production rolling out. The more tanks he can get, the merrier for him here. As that 3rd is going to take location, but Solar will see it straight away as the link, so he gets info at the very least as to how committed HeroMarine is. He says, okay, cool, I see your 3rd timing, so I know where you're at, I roughly know when you've been building things. You know, all these little pieces of information that, again, you can start to piece together just for, you know, the grand scope of what's happening here in this game number 1. I see HeroMarine again with those early Marine losses to those Banelings. He really has just said, cool, I want to stay aggressive, I still want to be active around and on the map, but I realize that I can't necessarily go pushing into aggressively, so a scan here, trying to get some creep, keeping my tank safely positioned so I can fall back to it if necessary, but it's not, really exposed. Those are very, very important, as we're just going to be seeing our Marines going through and clearing up more of this creep spread. As the Link counterattack is going to find a siege tank. There's actually a massive counterattack as well. Now, HeroMarine shouldn't be too far away in terms of coming in to deal with this, although because the SCVs went north, his army was coming through the middle, so actually we stay away from it for a little while longer, and that means that in the end, not many SCVs go down. HeroMarine was able to evacuate them in the medevacs, but Solar actually gets some units out of there as well. Not everything dies, and so he'll be happy. He gets a decent trade, and he gets to walk away with some units still alive and kicking as well, so definitely a W on the side of Solar there. He'll be pretty content so far. This game's been going well for him, honestly. I mean, the 4 queens, was it 3 or 4? I think it was 3, right? The 3 that went down in that one little burst fire of Marines, that was bad, but other than that, it has been very good, very manageable for Solar, and I mean, continues on with his upgrades here. He's playing a little bit behind there, but starts up his hive. And you can see that HeroMarine is actually pretty committed. 58 SCVs, not taking extra gases. He's building Liberators, and he's just not building any more SCVs at all, right? So he really is just going to commit still kind of off 3 bases, which means that Solar kind of just wants to build pure Ling Bane. Tech units here often do not do very well because you're investing into that tech, and they just aren't powerful enough by the time these fights happen. Solar has a little bit of creep out here as well, so it does mean he can engage in with that creep spread. Banelings keep on reaching. My goodness, they get behind the tanks, they hit more Marines. And if these Lings can just get on top of these couple of tanks there, I feel like the wrong units are in the wrong place. I felt like the Lings could have been on the tank, and then maybe the Banes could have hit the Marines. Either way, Solar gets a reasonable start of this. It's still scary. It always will be when HeroMarine puts so much power behind one attack. Solar just needs to keep on living. He's got all the tech to win the game behind this. A couple of libs will make that difficult. I love that he gives up this base. Buy yourself more time. Time is your best friend as you sit up in workers. You've got another base to send to. The only thing I'm worried about here for Solar is that all those overlords are nearby. If you lost all of those, that could be problematic, right? That's one way HeroMarine could do damage and really get back into this. Solar, again, just a counterattack, running by and saying, cool, I can either catch reinforcements, I can shut down economy, and really just force you to keep being completely all in this first game. Tons of SCVs going down. Here come the Banelings rolling forward. The tanks are getting blown up. The Liberators are the biggest issue right now. We do go back through Liberator zones. And that is the one thing that's actually keeping HeroMarine kind of alive here. Lifts back up. We got a Viper on the way. Solar trying to get a little bit of tech out now that his hive is online. And I imagine the idea of the Viper is at least you can get an Abduct or so going down. Again, just using those lib zones very well. As we actually run through and a tank gets evacuated. We just need to deal with these Liberators, man. If we deal with these Liberators, we're in a pretty good spot. Solar's army supply is quite far down. HeroMarine's bringing a lot of reinforcements across. Are we a little bit worried here, actually? Yeah, I am kind of a bit worried for Solar. He's got the extra carapace upgrade over his opponent. That's nice, but he needs to find a way to clean this out. He's not really got money in the bank or anything. He needs a round of balance to hit. The problem is HeroMarine just keeps on lifting up, and that means these Liberators get to do so much damage. The Libs just keep on killing so many things. The Vipers just sat there doing nothing at all. The Queens keep dying to the Libs as well. And Solar just doesn't find a defense at the very end. Wow, I really felt like everything, maybe not everything, but a lot of things in this game went pretty darn well for Solar. He just couldn't quite find it. And I think those Liberators were really MVPs. They did so much. In number 2, as we do have top right-hand side, down a map, our yellow Zerg player. Playing Waterfall, probably one of the toughest maps to play the ZVT on. It is Solar. In the bottom left corner of the map, our purple Terran player. This is HeroMarine. Okay, so I just had to tab out for a second, get some ads started because we're obviously on a stream delay today and gotta get those ads going between the games, otherwise they run at bad times. Would not want you guys to be hit with ads while the games are in the middle of the action. So let's get that sorted out, but we get back and going again. The Liberator is MVP for HeroMarine, absolutely, in that last map. As we do set up with the barracks at the front to start us off, get that started. And that is going to be, I say to start us off, but it is to start us off after the CC first. Command Center first, already coming down on the side of HeroMarine, so a little bit greedy here on this larger map. And looking to get that into action. So I guess answering a quick question in the chat as well. Yeah, just a quick note. If you're expecting to see WardiTV Summer Championship here, that has been moved. Today and Wednesday's groups have been moved to next week. They are playing today, but we'll be casting the replays next week just because we have some... well, obviously this is on right now from TSL, and on Wednesday I have to travel one day earlier than expected for the Pokemon World Championship, so I will not be around on Wednesday either. So we'll be doing those groups from replays next week, but we do have WardiTV Summer Championship tomorrow. Bjorn, Kua, Raynor, and Rattata making up a very fun group. One of the opening matches there is Kua versus Raynor. Ask me, that sounds like a lot of fun. We're going to grab a little Ling, third hatch going down. It's going to be a third Rax. Second and third Rax coming in behind this from here. I'm just having a think as to what I might want to say we're expecting out of this at this point. It's aggression once again, right? So it's 2 bases, then double gas, no 3cc. It's just very aggressive off the back of being a greedy CC first player. So here I'm going to try and build on this. He actually is reactoring out Hellions as well, which is fun because he's going to have at least some amount of Hellion control. And I always find it fun when Hellions and, you know, Hellions can maybe morph into Hellbats or something and join like a stimmed Marine attack. It does feel like that could be what we head toward here in this 3 Rax follow-up. Obviously very different to the 3 Rax we just saw. That's 3 Rax without a factory or starport support, so completely different playstyle, which makes sense on the larger map. He builds a Viking and now Stim. I wonder if he goes into tanks pretty quickly too, because Tropical Sacrifice is a really good map for tank positioning. There's a lot of places where you can get tanks set up, and you can just leave those tanks there, and they're basically hitting a base, and then you can really push behind that, or push with that. And that's been 100% one of the issues about this map for the Zerg players, even though otherwise this map has been pretty darn good for them. That is one of the problems they have, just kind of getting through to that mid or late game in a comfortable position. Viking coming forward is going to go nibble down the Overlord. Overlord will go down. A little supply block from Solar. As he needs to build a few extra units. Again, Baneling Nest, all these lings, couple of queens coming through. Medivacs and the stim on the way out. Waiting for HeroMarine's push to get going. The Baneling Nest, I mean, the timing of that Baneling should be out to help with this attack. I don't think they're going to be late or anything. I think that should be okay. And we now start up the lair. What is interesting is there's no Evo Chambers. This isn't a super fast lair. It's 5 minutes. So we're not seeing any upgrades. We're not really seeing fast Baneling speed. Solar is really playing a whole lot of nothing, in all honesty. You know, at this point in time, you'd be setting up usually at least for one or the other when it comes to, like I say, either Baneling speed or +1 upgrades. So to not be going into either of those is, like I say, a little bit funky. Here comes the drop around the top side. Tell you what, he's obviously hitting this from Solar pretty well because of the Vikings. Get in here. It's not a full 2 Medivacs, but you've got Hellions that can counterattack elsewhere at the same time as well. And that combined with all the rest of this, I actually do feel as though this is going to be a little troubling for Solar, as he does move some queens already in position. Just want to point this out. Was already moving over here before these Hellions were on creep to deny that run by. So that's very smart straight away. However, he still has to deal with this drop in the main. And does Solar have what he needs to do that? First Medivac getting targeted down, the Viking as well. Queens trying to transfuse each other up. Hellions still out down to that south side and just lying in wait. But, I mean, good defense from Solar, at least like I said, on that bottom side. Because if he pulls all the queens away and he loses the mineral line while trading a bit rough in the main, well, yeah, this game really does start to be over. Then we really kind of look at this and say, oh, well, Solar, what the hell are you going to do now? You've got nothing, right? Your economy's in shatters and all the rest of it. Now, Lings run through. You're just going to force the lift up here. We did kill one Medivac, so it limits what can happen in the future in terms of more Medivacs kind of, you know, continuing to drop. Obviously, you can reinforce with more Medivacs, but those initial 2 are shut down into just 1, so it's not as scary when they combo, as now these Hellions do get forward, and they get a couple of drones. The Lings gonna run forward now again. No 1-1, no Bane speed, but so far that seems to be manageable, at least for Solar. He's doing okay without. Obviously, we would really like to have all those upgrades finishing, which means that in about a minute when those upgrades are done, he's going to be feeling way better about this. Now, he's actually got a lot of minerals which he's floating, and I wonder if he's just missed a couple of injects along the way with that disruption happening in the main base, obviously being distracted over there, losing a queen or 2. Missing some injects when you're playing Lingbane heavy is obviously very rough, and right now he's actually heading directly toward a supply block as well, so Solar needs to kind of get that sorted out. HeroMarine 2, fully supply blocked right now. New Depot is about to finish, but only 1, which doesn't free up that much supply at this stage of a game. I believe he called down Depot as well, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, this really is one of those scenarios, right, where it's just players are playing a little, you know, making a couple macro errors here and there, and that can obviously become messy as the game develops, as we get to see more and more of it. Queens keep on pushing this creep spread out the left-hand side. There's a big run-by on the bottom. I say run-by, but like a catch on that Medivacs. Lings and Banes just surrounding. Solar's still fighting the rocks over here. Would love to finish those off. 1 or 2 Lings do go in to finish them as we try and set off the Widow Mines ahead of time. That Widow Mine has to re-burrow, and it's now going to re-target into what was a cluster of Ling Bane, but maybe just took a little too long to do so, because by then HeroMarine's numbers were already being thinned out pretty heavily. Behind this, HeroMarine has got a 3rd CC, I believe even a 4th in location. As this lifts up, sorry, that's not a 4th base. On the mini-map, I don't know why, it looks like 2 CCs next to each other. But yeah, 3rd CC on location. I really thought it was just a 4th base, but it's just a bunker and stuff. So getting established though on that 3rd base, which means that he is going to be able to already be pushing out, you know, defense there, extra tech units from that extra factory we see online. Those things are important to have. And like I say, Solar is going to be playing a Terran player who's going to have all of them. So, and a Terran player that's still in control of the map, right? Still being aggressive. And this is still just a case of Solar just has money he's not spending. If you could just find a way to spend that mineral and gas bank, the supply would be very comfortable once again. Oh my goodness, this was wild. I mean, first the Bane shots were good, but then actually the Widow Mine shots were pretty darn decent as well. That was a really crazy few moments as we just see the Queen's going to continue to spread creep forward. Back hanging out on the right-hand side. Marines and Mines continue to push through. There's get in there. Just going to force the medevac to lift up those couple Marines, pull away. As the Banes and the Hydras just continue out for a moment. Some mines pushing through, some Bane lanes are going to come forward, but we have to split, and he splits pretty successfully. And what's nice is when he's splitting here, he's setting the mines off, and then he is clearing them up. These Hydras now in play, definitely going to solidify some of Solar's defenses on this map, and obviously we can start the slow trek toward Lurkers as we start up that infestation pit. That will give you access to the Hive Tech here. Once you have the Hive Tech, all those Lurkers can come online, and that's where you dream of being. A couple minutes from now here is Solar. Of course, starts to survive until then, and this time Queen's just a bit too far forward. Obviously spreading creep, but HeroMarine gets in and he is able to deny those. And this is, again, actually really notable, right? I mean, it really feels like we've been seeing just no creep spread really allowed to come out from Solar. Because HeroMarine's been constantly active on the map, HeroMarine has always been shutting down this play of Solar. So Solar, I mean, the creep spread's not bad, don't get me wrong, but it could have been so much better. And there are positions on the map where it could be further out in front of Solar's base as well, for sure. As well, in the center, it looks somewhat reasonable as well. It's like, yeah, it's halfway. At the top, it's only 1 or 2 creep tumors out from the base. Well, that could maybe be a position that HeroMarine then tries to take a bit further down the line. Bane Hydra still moving through. He's going to try and run into this tank line. Marine's having to pull back a little bit as we do have HeroMarine coming around the top side now. And again, Solar just continue to be the permanent defender, but that really is going to change. Once Lurks are up, defense A becomes simpler, and B, just you do have so much more aggressive opportunity to work with as well. So absolutely expecting that to become more problematic for HeroMarine over time, especially because he's not breaking through on bases here. Yeah, you get your 4th base up comfortably, but you're still 5 bases comfortably here as well on the side of HeroMarine, so on the side of Solar. So yeah, it feels like HeroMarine doesn't have to win the game or anything, but he is going to have to start prepping for those Lurkers. He's getting a Liberator or so up right now. I'd love to just see maybe a few Ghosts already in production as well. The Liberators do help you to kind of ease into that Lurker transition. They can help hold back the initial Lurker lines a little bit. But again, Ghosts are really the real kind of end game target here. HeroMarine is just so active on the map, guys. He's dropping on the top side once again. He's got the Liberator on the right. This is what he wants. As much chaos as he can cause, the Solar's about to hit an even stronger army. You can just slow him down off those Lurkers as long as possible. I mean, then he's not going to have Lurkers for longer, and then you have more time to do things, more time to take fights. Definitely goes a long way as we come surging forwards. Tanks, Bio, continuing to get cleaned out over here. This is Solar actually making a pretty darn good bust for it. He's actually going to continue through as well, and these Hydras get forward, get the tank, get the Liberator. There's maybe a bit too much Bio there without Splash to deal with it, so we have to fall back, but I can't say we're too upset, I think, if you're a Solar fan on the back end of that fight, because again, now he actually gets to build more of his tech units as well, right? Coming out of this now, tech units and Lurkers and stuff are 100% more easily found than they were previously. So, yeah, continue to like where this is heading to as Liberator gets set up, a few drones going down. Just going to be seeing this Bioforce back around to the top side as the Liberator sieges up the right once again. Getting rid of some creep spread, pushing on through. Creep teamers keep on dropping, and yeah, Bane Hydra going to show up to push on into this Bio army. Those Medivacs again low. I was about to say, you know, if the Hydra's getting range, brilliant, but he also has parasitic bombs, and that's exactly what he does. He drops at least a parasitic bomb there, and only 3 Medivacs leave this alive. And HeroMarine is starting to be strapped for cash right now. You know, he's constantly rebuilding, adding in something else he has to rebuild, such as having to rebuild Medivacs. That's just an expense he was really hoping to avoid. You know, preferably you just keep those units alive throughout. You don't have to replace them. You can just fully focus on rebuilding the fighting units on the ground. But now, like I say, more money going to have to go there. And that's going to be problematic as Ling Bane is coming through. And Solar, for the first time in what feels like the entire game, maybe, is actually going to have a push going on here and actually getting aggressive himself. However, it does not go that well for him. He's looking much better on the defense than he has done on this offense. And that is still, I mean, he still has money to spend though, right? He's got 1.5k apiece, minerals and gas to be brought into play, and if he can transition that into units, then 10 out of 10 brilliant. That would be amazing as these lings continue through. SCV's in trouble, these Marines continuing to drop down. Fire Force of HeroMarine still up that left-hand side, running back up there for the moment. Here comes HeroMarine with another attack. I just don't know if HeroMarine can really do much offensively anymore, especially as he's continuing to play without the Ghost right now. Continue to run through this. This is just going to be a lot of Ling Bane. Then Hydra Look, the supporting HeroMarine supply really plummets this time, and he's killing a few drones, but the army of Solar's been in way better shape. He's got a Lurker harassing one of the newer bases of HeroMarine as well, so keeping that economy from getting online too easily. GG's called. HeroMarine is gonna tap out, and Solar will tie this series 1-1 in this opening best of 5 of this round-robin tiebreaker group. And it's ready to begin in the top left-hand side. Opening strong into the first game, and honestly was in decent spots in that second game at points as well. There was just moments where his aggression needed to be a bit more successful, and obviously he really played around the idea, I think, of not going into Ghosts, which eventually he didn't keep the pressure up well enough to kind of punish that. HeroMarine in the top left-hand side. It's a stylistic choice. I know a lot of people be like, why didn't you build Ghosts? But I think he just felt like he could just keep pressuring and keep bullying Solar to eventually break through of his own accord without the need for Ghosts. Obviously, once Solar gets the tech units out, not having Ghosts becomes a problem, and that strategy of HeroMarine has then essentially failed. Bottom right side, yellow Zerg player is Solar from the TvZ Gaming Squadron. Get this up. We got this running. This best of 5 continues here. Game 3 coming through. See a lot of people saying he's just too lazy to play that game. But that's not really the case, guys. I think it's very much so a situation of people can play strategies, you know, like the strategy here I really do believe from HeroMarine is, hey look, I'm gonna be pretty aggressive. I'm gonna stay aggressive, and you know, I believe I can break through him. I believe I can stop him from getting up to those tech units. And then by the time he hadn't, he gave it one last attempt. And then obviously he really is way too late on getting into Ghost at that point. That's not necessarily lazy in terms of like not wanting to play late game. That's just, hey, I feel like my best chance to win is to play like this style on this map or right now. So yeah, I would say it's, I think saying it's lazy is just kind of silly basically. Yeah. Honestly, once Solar got that tech up, you saw how the fight started changing. You know, usually beforehand, like, both players had to rebuild a lot out in the back of fights, but at the very end there, Solar was, like, still very comfortably, like, close to max out with very minimal reinforcements on the way, while HeroMarine was down a lot of supply, like 50+ supply in the back end of a fight and so on. Tripper comes over and will harass a couple of Zerglings early. The early game micro dance will begin. What service do we get? West. So it goes west, central, west. So actually, funnily enough, both players have won on their own map pick, but the opponent's server pick so far. This means that Solar does have server preference here for this game number 3. The Reaper taking a couple shots, Queen's getting through there and delivering just a little bit. And again, HeroMarine gonna switch it up. I mean, every game very different so far. This time he's getting that 3rd CC and the in-base expand very quickly. And he is adding on a 2nd Rax as well, so he will be able to apply a good amount of bio pressure. While still being on a fairly quick free base. Solar, he knows about the base on location. He scouted it with the Overlord, and so he's immediately dropping a Roach Roar. And it would seem that Solar wants to go for a Roachling all in. This is a short rush distance map, so if HeroMarine does not spot this in time, he's going to have very little time to react to it. And obviously, we'll have minimal units because, especially just the way he's building, that second rack's coming online. I like the fact he's going to have access to more, you know, marine or just bio production, but it's unlikely he builds a marauder out of nowhere. And it also means that you're probably less likely to really do anything off the factory, so no factory units here. And that means you're not going to have a cyclone or a tank or anything to help you defend. This looks very bad for HeroMarine. His entire build is just not going to... The problem with the bio is the bio just isn't going to be on enough numbers to defend against this right away. Let's see what HeroMarine can somewhat salvage. As for Solar, a lot of this is just going across the map and notice as well, to try and have HeroMarine as unaware as possible. And I think he's just going to dart through the center, because to be fair, at the moment, there's nothing in the center from his opponent. There's the couple of Hellions still up that ramp on the right side. They're actually going to move down now, so this is going to be HeroMarine for the first time seeing what's going on. So now he knows exactly what is happening. Obviously, this is very late, though. You can see the bunker is only just now going to get to start. We will rally everything down here. The Lings come in early. Oh, I don't like that at all. I mean, that's just a bunch of Lings that donated themselves, and they achieved absolutely nothing. Here are the Roaches, though, the couple of Ravagers. I mean, like I say, I guess Stim can finish here. I'm just worried about the Marine count not exactly being the best anyway. Let's see. Stim is a few seconds away. These Lings might want to just try and get the wraparound. He's morphing more Ravagers, but I do feel like he also needs to make sure he keeps a couple of Roaches up, because the Roaches are very important to just tank. Right, the Roaches are the units that have that reduced damage, the extra armor and stuff, so let's see as our Lings come in. I mean, the Stim is obviously very nice here. 22 SCVs went down. Solar's already found good damage. He's now droning behind this, finds a few more SCVs in the back, maximizing the damage dealt. And obviously his units aren't gone just yet either. Ideally, he either gets some of these units out alive, or he can trade with the army a little further. The last thing you want is to just lose all these units in this army to be able to come across the map and counter, because then you have to make an army out of nowhere. That's when the Terran can find counter damage and get back into this game. But so far, I'd say the damage done is absolutely pristine here from Solar, and he's going to be leading by 25 workers already. So 25 worker lead. Looking very, very good here when you take everything into account for our Korean Zerg player. Is a little bit supply blocked, which is a minor issue for sure. Definitely not ideal. Not good to be supply blocked, guys. Don't let them tell you that I didn't go to StarCraft school. I know all the things. HeroMarine is going to start attacking right here. He's rebuilding SCVs, so he has, you know, planning a follow-up to this. Obviously, he still has Stim against unupgraded Roaches, which, obviously, from Solar's point of view, isn't the best set of units in the world, and that one tank is doing a lot of damage so far. These Ravagers feel like should get themselves forward and bile that tank down. I know initially they want to put some biles towards the bio units, but yeah, you can see the issue, but there's a Ling run by again as well, so Solar has got units across the map, also doing well. Doing what he needs them to do, which is just coming in and being a strong distraction. Yeah, just, again, good play from Solar. Can't really say much more than that. The guy is playing some good SC2 here so far today. That is for certain. Even that first game, you could argue, was meant to be so much better for Solar as well, right? In theory, right? I mean, that first game definitely felt like he had the route to victory somewhat set out, but he did make mistakes, he did slip up, so HeroMarine found his victory there, but it definitely feels very, very, very good at the moment for Zerg here. In Game 3, we put him at a 2-1 victory. And thinking about what maps we have left, we probably have Data C, which is the larger map, and probably Inside and Out as well. If we imagine probably, well, Cosmic Sapphire, probably the video of HeroMarine. And what other map am I missing? Inside and Out. What map would have Solar videoed here? Data C, Inside and Out. Let me have a look. I'm just missing one map, and I feel like that might be the last one. Stargaze. Oh, that's what Solar videoed, I guess. So Solar videoed Stargaze. So yes, Inside and Out, probably map 5. Even upgrades are heavily in Solar's favor, right? He's about to finish up Carapace. He'll be 1-1 missiles, now starting melee. HeroMarine just starts his own attack upgrade, so again, not exactly looking ideal in that regard. Knock this set of rocks down. Have that loneling on an adventure. Just a spot for armies coming across the map too at this point. At this stage, HeroMarine, it's kind of a rough one because you don't really, from this position, trying to play like a turtly late game is very difficult. But at the same time, being aggressive, it kind of feels like, well, if he's just got so many units, he's got low tech units, so he's spamming them, so maybe you do just want to sit back and not really do a whole bunch of anything, but I feel like that's the problem, right? Either real answer here for HeroMarine is not great. Maybe a mix, right, where you kind of just focus a little bit on trying to get some drops across the map and some aggression going in that regard, and then combine that with the, maybe combine that with something like a, like just a very defensive, like set of tanks at home, don't really move out with everything at any point in time. Maybe hope Solar runs some run-bys into you that do absolutely nothing, so you just basically waste some units. That sort of combination of things maybe could be the road to success here. Solar isn't being overly aggressive himself, though. He's continuing to tech up, moving in toward Hive. He knows he can probably get toward at least adrenal glands here pretty freely. That's a really good upgrade to have off of that. He's just going to be fighting. Roach is going to be coming into trade. As do have Marines continuing through some group spread. Being shot down, and Marines continue to push on forward, and he's going to trade here a little bit. Backs that down the south. We'll pick back up. So it is that just continued tank production. There is a world where you can obviously maybe hit a timing as well as Solar maybe hits Hive Tech or gets to Ultras the first time. Maybe a big push at that stage, but I think the problem is you don't really have the upgrades to be successful on that. As Banes continue across. HeroMarine coming into the center now. This is the one big push, getting some Liberators behind it. 2-1 upgrades are probably the last upgrades HeroMarine is going to be looking to get in this game. If he even gets to those. Ling Roach, Ravager, Bane. Can press forward a little bit. Viper's consuming where possible. And we do have HeroMarine's going to run in on this left-hand side. Got the Bane's going to turn around, going to go in after those Marines. But yeah, the tank position so far doing well. This is what HeroMarines need. Some good trades. Ultras on the way, however. Ultras on the way. We don't have any yet. It's just the first one. Yes, we do have Vipers as well. Going to abduct in, actually, with the Vipers initially. So not looking for Blinding Clouds. Now starting to run down this ramp. I do not like this fight from Solar, but I assume at least he can rebuild off the back of it. Some extra Ultralists will definitely go a long way at the moment. You can just get some extra Ultras up and running. I mean, that is the big issue, isn't it? Absolutely troubling as we just have our units continue to come on through. Baneling's connected in, a lot of Marines getting blown up. Liberators will be sieging. Just going to be seeing the Vipers getting a bit of consuming off on the Evo Chambers as well. Pushing straight through here, Corrosive Valves going down. Tanks are going to get denied. And Solar finally finds himself the push through of this army that he's looking for. Took a little while. Like I say, this one attack from HeroMarine is what he was setting up for, what he's playing for. 3 base all in, essentially. Obviously, he was just so weak off the early game that succeeding was going to be tough. So, that is a possibility. Let's see if Solar can get the win here in the first match, though, as we are in the top right-hand side with our Yellow Zerg player, Solar, from KaiZ Gaming. Bottom left, the biggest of Gabe's, HeroMarine in the purple, playing Terran. Time for him to try and bounce back on this one. We'll see if he can be successful or not. think you always got to believe in Gabe, at least to some extent, right? Gabe's always got that possibility of bouncing back. Just because he's down in the series, Gabe is not a player you count out easily. This man has turned it around from big deficits in the past, so it's absolutely something you can find once again, I'm sure. See if you can do it against Solar. I mean, obviously that last game went wrong very quickly. That's one of those ones where you look at it and you're like, yeah, okay. Not ideal. Not ideal, not the best. Something to move forward from. And just, you know, say, hey, look, I mean, a lot of that was down to the build. I was very far behind initially. I gave it a good go. Did absolutely everything I could, but I was dead at, basically 4.5 minutes. Sometimes those games can, you can reset quite easily off those because, hey, at least you didn't get outplayed in the strategic game or anything, or like the macro. You still believe in yourself in that regard, for example. I feel like it's an easy one to put behind you for sure. Reaper is continuing to produce, so just getting that started up right now, getting that Reaper on the way. Let's do have a couple queens on the way out. It is a CC first from HeroMarine. He's continuing to CC first on these larger maps, so Tropical Sacrifice and now Data C. Larger maps, very happy to play CC first. Let's see what his follow-up is. When he played Tropical, he played into that kind of 3 racks after the factory starport. So was very quick onto the bio there, and honestly had a decent game out of it. Definitely put himself in good positions. Definitely felt at those moments where I was like, "Oh God, Solar, are we just gonna die here? Are you in trouble?" Definitely some scarier moments for sure. It gets through, and this Zergling has already been shot down. No, the Zergling gets away! Run for your life, Zergling! Gets the ram, gonna get stuck. Factory will take off, swap over to the reactor. And the barrac's gonna move off that reactor as well, so... yeah, as Starport comes online, we do see second gas. We will be seeing at least some kind of initial aggression. Or at least a tech setup, right? I mean, this is not going to be 3CC super early in the game, so moving away from that idea again. Again, not surprised we have seen a few games already where stuff like that has been kind of the plan from HeroMarine. And yeah, what's up, Ben K Music? Thank you so much for the 4-month resub on the Prime. Thanks so much for using your Prime on the channel. Really appreciate the support. Yeah, a lot of questions. A few people at least asking about Special, guys. Special just declined to play in this round robin. He was invited. Obviously, he also lost in the same round as Solar, HeroMarine, and Estrella. But he said he did not want to play in the round robin for whatever reason. We don't know what that is. Obviously, maybe just doesn't want to decide he doesn't want to travel. Maybe he didn't like the section of the bracket he was going to be in. Maybe something came up, made plans once he already got knocked out. I don't know, but I would imagine that there's a fairly good reason, because obviously, usually playing in tournaments is a pretty decent thing. It is a bit rough, TSL. I do feel like TSL is rough if you're in the lower bracket, because if you have to travel from somewhere like Korea, finishing 12th is like $700, whereas finishing the round before is $300. Well, $400 is a good boost, but obviously that's the traveling the entire way. Obviously, you can win more and go on a big run, but you get to the Netherlands, you play 1 best of 5 in the lower bracket. You lose, you're out. You win, yeah, you continue forward, your run keeps going, but it is actually kind of a brutal event when it comes to how that offline section works. So some players may just deem that not as worthwhile compared to usual or so. I think those are genuinely pretty fair kind of, statements. It is sometimes a little bit crazier to fly like that for the chance just to get knocked out straight away, right? So, yeah. But yes, it was all on Special. He was invited. He decided to not play. And yeah, Neeb isn't attending because Neeb has school. He just started university, college. I imagine what happened was that Neeb obviously just signed up to play in TSL. He was playing TSL, and then it just got, like, I imagine, like, his school schedule got announced. And maybe there's just too much important stuff on the days that he would miss at the start of school and stuff, right? So maybe, again, just a question of realizing it's maybe not worth traveling and screwing up the start of his school year for TSL, unfortunately. Which is probably a fairly sensible decision. Neeb's a smart guy. I'm sure he thought hard about it. What I was surprised about was there was so much outrage about it. I actually commented in a Reddit thread yesterday about it, and someone was like calling it out and saying it's a disgrace. Like, it's sad. The organizers are going to stop running tournaments because people keep playing their tournaments even though they can't do more. They called out Max Packs because apparently he keeps playing in tournaments, which he then can't attend, which isn't really true because he doesn't only plays in the stuff that's online. Anyways, I commented. I got downvoted. Apparently, I was the bad guy. I was the dumb one. They told me, well, Wardy, if you said you were going to cast a tournament, then you weren't. You're going to be unprofessional, not show up. I'm like, well, it's a bit different, you know? But it's a little different, in all honesty. And they're like, they should punish the players. I'm like, they literally will lose the prize money they would have had. Like, what do you want to do? Like, take all their prize money off them? I don't know. I thought it was a bit crazy. I didn't understand why people were so outraged. Outrage culture. That's what I call it. The BC from HeroMarine kind of gets deflected. A real tangent for me. That really went on a while, huh? BC obviously is going to be deflected somewhat. I mean, we are going to come back in here now, and how many kills have we got? 11? And now actually increasing on that, so 5 of them just came in, and that's really nice. So gets a little bit more done before he recalls out of there. Marine stimming into the top side. Again, just another different build here from HeroMarine, something else to bring to the table, and just keeping this series very exciting with all of these different styles of play. Really making it difficult for Solar to always know what's coming his way, to be prepared. You know, HeroMarine is making sure that Solar Scout has to be absolutely impeccable because, like I say, something different is hitting Solar every single game so far. You just got to be on top of that. Crypt Gym is going down. Queens will come forward, and the Marines have to back it up just a little bit. A couple of tanks want to go and take position up on the top side. If they're going to get there, they're going to siege. What a position that is. And Solar, who's been bullied a little bit then early, is now going to be in a spot where these tanks are really going to be great supporting units. And these Marines are going to pull back into them. Boom, you can see what the tanks can achieve. The BC on the bomb side tries to deny this base. It's a smart idea from HeroMarine. If you can deny this base, you can basically say to Solar, well, if you give up the top base, you do not have a fourth base. He doesn't deny it, though, so Solar can give up this top base and then just move down to the bottom to use that as a fourth. So, yeah, good idea from HeroMarine. Good defense from Solar, because if he lost that base on the bottom side and he gets knocked down at 3 here, he would be in a world of trouble. And he really would be struggling at that point to make other things happen. Still nice, of course, for HeroMarine to take down this hatchery. I mean, he's looking towards his own 4th CC very soon. Typically, a Zerg would then like to be on 5 bases. And it's this battlecruiser that just keeps on delivering. Still around, still dealing damage. Battlecruiser doing a very good job of things so far. Picks off that Hydralisk even. And a few Marines still on the top. The only thing I'm worried about a little bit, perhaps, is, wow, he actually teleports the BC back home and shuts down the potential run by. Solar's immediately going to move away from there. I was going to say, the only thing I'm worried about on the top side is that maybe you're not reinforced in that position. Maybe Solar can now swarm in and take a very good fight and at least possibly get a good trade out of all of this. Because, like I say, there's no reinforcements down on the bottom side, and I'd be surprised if Solar doesn't do something about this, because now he can set up a full surround. He's not being zoned out elsewhere. Here we go. I mean, don't get me wrong, that choke point is pretty nasty, and it's definitely going to be a problem. The Banes, oh my goodness, do kind of just about get through there. The Hydras were taking a bit of damage as well for tanks. They were trying to take down some of the medevacs. I wouldn't say it was the prettiest of trades. Look at the resources lost, 2.8k to 6.5, and HeroMarine is already pushing through the south. He is not going to let up the pressure right here, and he is going to keep this going. He does lose a few Marines very quickly to the start to a couple of Banelings. That Banes keep on rolling through, and that is a massive lag spike at a horrible time in the game. That is our Russian streamer, I believe. Lagging out at, like I say, a pretty horrible time. Because, well, yeah. There's kind of a massive fight going on. And we've got the medevac healing sound, which repeats when we're paused. It's one of the only things that does this. It's, you don't think it's so bad, but 60 seconds of this wah, 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 it drags on a little bit, guys. I tell you that. It drags on a little bit. Wow, these guys didn't even pause, so this is going to go straight into it when he drops. And Solar comes down this ramp. Hydras will be able to clean up the final siege tank here. At the same time, Marines dropping the top, supported by a BC. Trying to stop this base from getting back online. Which is going pretty okay. I mean, obviously not denying the base, but... yeah, I mean, the creep spread just doesn't exist here as well, and even just fighting here right now could deny some of that creep from getting back in position. Marines are going to unload behind the mineral line here. Queens putting out some damage, trying to get something done. Can they get rid of the BC? I would be surprised if they did, because obviously that BC should have a teleport away. Or if it does not teleport away, it should be able to back away. He did start the teleport just a moment too late there. Seemed to think it was safe, but it was not. So we actually do lose the battlecruiser. That's actually a really big sigh of relief from Solar, because now you know that BC isn't in play. That is a huge deal. It just means you don't have to deal with that pinging around, teleporting here and there, harassing you. That's actually a pretty big W, as you do see these Marauders going to sit at the front. Ling, Bane, Hydra is going to come crashing forward here. Going to get down this ramp. Banes keep rolling through. Ling surrounding these couple of siege tanks. I do think we've got ourselves another pretty decent cleanup at the front from Solar, but he's got a drop in his main. The problem is Solar's economy has never been comfortable in this game, so what would usually be like 85, 90 drones has only been 75 to 80. And that difference just means he doesn't have a bank. He's not got quite the rebuild, so even though these fights are not as bad as they, you know, I mean, considering he's like 3 or 4k resources behind early, it's now only 3k, 3.5. That's actually fine. The last few fights have not been bad trades for Solar in terms of efficiency. It's just his economy has never been as far ahead as it should be this game, as Zerg should have a constant lead in eco. That is not what this income advantage graph tells us, and that's where Solar really struggles. Without that, this game is tough. There's a few snipes going down, Hydra's getting picked off, Ghost still moving through. As the bio army gets in here, one queen going down straight away. The other taking damage is going to go down too. That's 2 queens that will fall. Fire Force continues to strike there as the hatchery on the top side is going to get picked up. The Lings continue out across to the bottom left. There's a hatchery in the bottom right. Again, Solar stuck on 4 bases at this point. He's going to try and get to lurkers, and he's going to try and use the lurkers to slow this game down enough and hopefully take some good fights that he can perhaps turn this around. This really is not good for him, though. I mean, cannot say that enough right now. It's pretty brutal, in fact, as we do have our bio units sitting on this ramp. Ling, Bane, Hydra going to start coming through. Good Blinding Cloud. He only got one, though, because the EMP was pretty quick to come down from HeroMarine. We will get rid of some of these siege tanks, though, as, wow, we had to force a lift up in the end. I was going to say, those Balins were getting ever close. I thought I had to scream and shout there a little bit, but lifts up, gets out. Solar still trailing in supply, needs to get back across to defend this incoming drop. And again, he's just constantly on this, you know, cycle of defense, get a cleanup, defend again, go somewhere else, lose a base, have to rebuild, relocate your economy. And what's HeroMarine doing? Oh, extra CCs all over the place. You know, no problem at all. Just going to get Sense Tower up. You know, we've not seen Solar execute an attack in a long time. Well, how would he? He's just got no opportunity at all to get across the map and be feisty here. And even if he does, I feel like HeroMarine's defense would probably be pretty okay anyway. Hey, what's up, Hearthstone and everyone from the Hearthstone stream? Welcome. This is the Shopify TSL 9 round-robin tiebreaker to see who will get to replace Neeb in the tournament in the offline stages in the Netherlands next month. Very start of next month, so we're not that far away from it at all. Goodbye up to the top. Lurkers will sit here. Crispet gonna get shot down. Ling, Bane, Viper continues on through. Bioforce continues to get chased away to the left. We're just gonna be seeing the CC. And on in. Nidus network setup from Solar as well, giving himself options, right? While HeroMarine might have the greatest late game setup he's ever dreamed of at this stage, there are still ways for Solar to win this. Nidus attacks can absolutely get in there and do a lot of damage, so that's something that HeroMarine still has to be very careful of. There are ways to get back into this for sure for Solar, and it definitely feels like he's trying to explore those. He's not just sitting back and doing nothing at all. Definitely starting to kind of go forward, figure out what he might be able to get done, and trying to play from there. After it goes down, the Ling's going to stream through, and the Marines loaded up into the medevacs as they evacuate from the top left-hand corner. Nidus in the main. I think that's where that drop is going to, as the Nidus going to get up, because the units still have to unload as well. Some SCVs going down. Solar going to get into this base at the same time. The Nidus, I have no idea what's going on with the Nidus. This attack starts. What happens with the Nidus? A lot of Lurkers get out. They're actually going to be able to fight and kill this drop. Uh-oh, HeroMarine is now splitting up Ghosts against Banelings. Now these Banes are on a bit of a run. Misses the EMP onto the Vipers. Going to kill some Ghosts up this ramp as well. Parasitic bomb on the medevacs. There was a counterattack though, and Solar at the very least is going to be losing a base. And of course, Solar does not really have a lot of bases to spare. HeroMarine's money not great right now, but he does have a lot of orbitals and stuff if necessary to help out. Lings get through here, going to clean up this attack that was across the map. At least Solar now dealing with that, as these few Lurkers should now go down. The Nidus is dealt with, and this attack now put to a stop. Well, I mean, that's looked for Solar in a long time. Now again, remember, while Solar denied a base, he lost a base of his own, and again, his bases are so much worse off here than HeroMarine's base, because HeroMarine has just CCs for days. Replacing a base is no problem. Killing all those SCVs is nice. It will force HeroMarine to rebuild a bit. It does slow down his eco for a little bit from the SCVs that should have been mining otherwise. But yeah, I mean, it does slow HeroMarine down, because actually at the moment, he didn't have a bank, so losing SCVs and not having a bank just takes a while to rebuild, and Solar gets a lot more Lurkers on to play. And like I say, a good moment or two from him gives him at least a pretty good shot again at the moment, so that's awesome. There's a couple of Vikings moving around that side. This tower missile turret will want to come up here as well as we blow up some changelings with the tanks. Clearing those out immediately. .5 minutes here on Data C. And we do see that late game setup coming in from HeroMarine as well with the blue flame. This means you've got the Hellbats to deal with the Lings very effectively. They become very efficient in those scenarios. And not just that, but also as you kind of get those up and running, well, that Thorka Solar is actually fighting. Kind of shocked to see Solar becoming the aggressor here. He's going to keep going. I mean, the tanks are going to choke up this army as well. HeroMarine actually loses a lot of supply. Oh my goodness, those Ghosts obviously could have taken another step away, but it felt like they were about to die. They were so close to dropping down there. That was actually a little bit shocking. Lurkers in the main base. Nidus is back. Ghost Academy under fire. Well, we have enough Ghosts right now, so I don't think that's an immediate, like, major problem or anything. We actually do kill a couple of these Ghosts. They're moving very far forward. There's the Overseer, though, and that is going to be the end of it. But Solar, once again, using this as maybe a chance to strike elsewhere. Again, HeroMarine just not really in position to build up nicely or too nicely off the back of this. Credit to Solar, continues to make this a much closer game than it ever seemed like it should be. HeroMarine dominated the first, what, 15 minutes of the game. It's only the last 5 where Solar has shown any real signs of life. Extra bases online now, actually having, you know, different bases to mine from, a comfortable worker lead. These are all things which he has been completely missing up until now. It's a round of banelings coming in as well. There you go. It's going to run into this. This one felt a little bit better for HeroMarine, but he is still going to lose some of the tech units at the tail end. How many ghosts has he got left? Only 4. Well, there's not a single lurker on the map from Solar, but it's going to be enough. This attack just comes through and wipes the floor, and Solar is going to get the win. Wow, that is kind of crazy, no? What a ridiculous little ending to this. HeroMarine just doesn't have the money in the last little while. Resources lost, still only about a 3k difference, and obviously Solar did become much better at mining in the last little while as well. Oh, that's really kind of crazy. These fights just, I mean, HeroMarine just continue to lose out on ghosts, just doesn't really have any buyouts, all tanks as well. Obviously just tanks alone just don't deal with that swarm of Ling Bane at all. Wow, crazy series, what a comeback from Solar, and he gets the first match of the day 3-1.